Good day, everyone. Ali Safi here from Safi Financial Network. Today is May 5th, 2024. And in this video, I just want to talk about the Starbucks. As you know, Starbucks just hammered recently and sees one of the worst performance after earning announcement. I believe since 2000, you have seen Starbucks just sees one of the worst performance post earnings. So what's happened exactly to the chart and why Starbucks is hammering down when earnings shows that it's kind of like a showing still a growth is there, revenue is growing, but it's not the fast or kind of like a slowing down as uh, as per like expectation. But what happened to the Starbucks is that exactly. So in this video, I'm going to talk about first a fundamental analysis, going through some details about the earning reports and what's exactly happening, and then going back um, to the charts and see monthly, weekly, and daily, and potentially a good setup is coming down the road for months of May or June. If we get to that level, that's going to be one of the good buying opportunity. But where exactly? So we're going to talk about this. Make sure watch this video and also like this video as well. So if you think that these educational materials is going to be valuable for you, for sure you're going to just support me with a like this video and share it with someone who has like interest on it. All right, let's move on to Starbucks. I just want to show you a pretty interesting website that I'm just looking at, and that's going to be a group focus. So let me share my screen. This is exactly Starbucks group focus, and as you see here, we are kind of like based on this site fair value. You see that Starbucks fair value is kind of like somewhere around 110 or something like that. Right now we are at here, which is very undervalued, as you see here based on this. But we don't care about this value. I will talk about my fair value, which I calculated. But let's talk about what happened to Starbucks exactly. So as you see here, uh, still everything is fine. Like on the paper, everything is fine. Let me just deep dive into it and see. Like if you see here, cash flow has very good like a trend to the upside. So the cash flow, there is nothing wrong with cash flow. And net income is kind of like a very flat. So this green bar is going to be net income. The interesting thing is operating cash flow. So operating cash flow is kind of like a flat as well. So in this chart, we don't see something like a crazy happening. But what happened here? So exactly, there is a problem here. So that's going to be cash and debt. And as you see here, this is debt and this is cash. Like a green bars are cash and red bars are debt. As you see here, since 2020 and 2021 to 3, so debt substantially going higher. So it just increased to 25,000 million debt, while cash is just shrinking down. So this is kind of like a concerning. For 4 years, cash is going down while debt is kind of like a fixed at the same amount. So that's kind of like a concerning investors and also traders for a long picture of this Starbucks in this chart as well. So you will see that this is kind of like total shareholders equity, and also this is kind of like a total asset. While asset is kind of like a flattening, this is kind of like the debt is still growing up, and you will see that. So the total shareholders equity is going down and down and down and down, and now we are at negative. So it seems like a shareholders equity is just going down and down, while the total asset is kind of like a shrinking a bit. And this is kind of like another a warning signal for Starbucks. So these two are kind of like a concerning um, shareholders for kind of like at the milestone for the next 5 to 10 years. But if you just say this, still company is revenue is growing up, and I know that it's not as like before, but still it is positive. And also the net margin is not that bad at all. So net margin is 11.38, which is kind of like a beating the industry as well. So it is not bad at all. And also this is kind of like a return of investment. Um, and this is kind of like a return on equity. And this one is kind of like a showing going higher as well. However, the last quarter is just going better than um, 99% of 331 companies. So this is pretty good number. But as I said, just recently, this stock is hit a lot just because of the debt and also the liquidity and also the revenue that they're providing is not kind of like a satisfactory to cover their debt, and the debt is going higher and higher while cash flow is like a shrinking down as well. Here is Yahoo Finance, which is kind of like a balance sheet for this. And let me go to cash flow. So this is kind of like a cash flow statement. And as you see here, the cash flow statement is not that bad. So this is kind of like the cash flow for Starbucks. And as you see here, it's kind of like a going higher and higher, while the free cash flow is kind of like getting better, slightly better than before. But the problem, as I said, is here. So the capital expenditure is just going higher and higher. And this is kind of like the concerning that everyone just talking about. And also the death seems 2021, 2022, 2023, and here is the death is kind of like increasing very, very sharply. And this is kind of like all people are kind of like concerning about this as well. All right, let's move on to chart and see what chart tells us. So here is the monthly chart. And as you see here, this monthly chart is showing us stock just hammering down. And this is kind of like a big kind of like a head and shoulder here. Some people may talk about, but I don't think it's going to happen like going down to zero, because after that, Starbucks is going to go down. But it's going to hit substantially. To what level? I believe that this is going to be the level that I'm looking at, a 60 to 67. And by the way, when I calculate a fair value or kind of like a fundamental value for a stock, is something around 62 to $65 per share. So stock is kind of be very, very valuable. I should say this is very, very conservative number. If it goes to that level, this means the stock is very, very valuable. Right now, it is like at 73, $73, which is still some people, as I said, like in even Group Focus, they said it's going to be $100 per share or 105, but this is based on my calculations: 60 to 65, 62, 63, 65. That's going to be the area, and it falls exactly to this interesting demand area. So if I just want to mention here one good area for Starbucks to buy back lots of good shares is going to be this level, which is going to be 60 to 67, which kind of like a previous demand area going higher. Just this is COVID crash going down sharply, hit this area, and then reversing back up sharply. So the last pivot, which kind of like in May 2022, it just got back here. And as you see here, the stock is kind of like interesting cycle, like a 2-year cycle bottom. So this is kind of like April, May, and this is kind of like another May. So this is 2020, and this is 2022. And right now we are at May, kind of like a 2024. So as I said, this is kind of like an interesting 2-year cycle for stock. And right now we are kind of like a pivoting, one of most important pivotal point for based on the cycles. Based on the price action, this is very, very oversold, as you see here. And we just slightly to see a very, very nice divergence in MACD. So if it goes down to this level, which means price is going down below this pivot, while a MACD is not even below this. Stochastic is in very, very oversold condition. RSI monthly can go head to oversold condition, which is going to give us one of the best buying opportunity in this stock. And I believe that fundamental will catch it up later. Potentially, they will kind of like fixing the price, and also they're kind of like a business plan as well. Moving on to, let me just save it, moving on to weekly chart. So weekly chart tells me exactly the same thing. Here is a very, very interesting weekly demand area. As you see here, this is kind of like a wide range bar, backtest, sharp move to the upside. This is another demand area, which is falling around 60 to 67, 68, and stock just hammering down. This is kind of like a weekly chart, goes down, and I believe they can go down. Still, momentum is in on the bear side, but eventually it's gonna just end 60 to 68. I believe that it's gonna end, and we're gonna just accumulate more. I have already in my portfolio, and I'm gonna add lots of stocks actually here, lots of shares, somewhere around to 60, 68. I'm gonna just a dollar cost average my stocks, because I believe that when the stock is getting back to the bullish momentum, it can just easily going back up nicely, and it can go all the way to $99. So I believe that's still $99, or kind of like a $90 to $99 by end of this year is going to be a foreseeable scenario. And from 60, let's say 67 to 93, it's going to be 25 to 28%, which is not bad at all. Like let's talk about, we are talking about 6 months in a row. So it's going to be very, very good performance as well. So I believe that it's going to be something like FedEx in 2022-23. It's going to be like Facebook or Meta in 2024. If you 22, if you remember, we accumulate lots of shares of Facebook in at $94. Can you believe that? $96, $94. And I sold, my subscribers sold kind of like a decent portion of our shares at like a 400 above. So this is kind of like the value investment that I'm just doing. And the Starbucks is not going anywhere. Chart is giving us one of the good buying opportunity, and we are going to take it. So 60 to 68, I believe that that's going to be a good potential buying opportunity for Starbucks down the road. Stochastic momentum on a weekly chart is at oversold condition. RSI is at oversold condition. And also MACD is kind of like a showing very, very oversold, which I believe that if price goes down to here, to this important demand area, this is monthly, weekly demand area, which can see kind of like a reversal all the way back to 90 above. So that's going to be a great kind of like a buying opportunity is coming for us. All right, I believe I covered everything. What do you think about this stock? Is it going to just go lower and Starbucks kind of like is going to be dead for a while, or this is going to be a good buying opportunity? I'm very interested to see what's your comments. Please just put your comment down below and see well what's going to be next after, like let's say 3 to 4 months after that. We'll see how it goes. Have a fantastic evening. See you on the chart. Bye bye.